Hey folks, welcome back to Uncovering the Ark. I'm Nick.
And I'm Steven, and we are
the Autumndale Paranormal Investigation Team. Tonight we have two stories that I'm super excited about.
I know that you got these stories from a leak. Hell, one of them is a town legend that everyone knows. But the second one seems pretty far-fetched.
Well, tonight we will be investigating the story of how our town is supposedly cursed, and why it seems that for almost 2 centuries now, our town has been plagued with misfortune and monsters.
Of course, we are talking about the legend of the Great Witch Lilith and her 3 sisters, Eleanor, Mary, and Beatrice.
We will be going back to the actual buildings that were built in the 1700s that housed the sisters, as well as some of the older buildings that still stand in Old Autumndale. Before the town was expanded and deemed an actual city, Autumndale was just a small village that was comprised of its founders, the Hamiltons and the Knotts family. Among them was around 150 other people who built the village and worked in the mines down by A.R.C. Pond. Of course, there were farming families and a few wealthy independent people who owned the town's shops, but mining was the village's main income.
From there, we will be going to one of the town's oldest standing churches, where the slaughter on Christmas Eve 1912 happened. According to the reports, the Irish family, the McFinleys, were the outcasts of the town. And when they were turned away from the Christmas Eve service, they then returned and brutally murdered 47 of the people whom attended.
Other reports from the police department and witnesses the next morning that were hidden until the leak of 2015 stated that the people who were killed absolutely was not the work of a madman with a knife. The bodies were ripped apart and brutally thrown in every direction. There were bite marks on most of the victims that were similar to a bear's bite.
It was also said that all along the inside and outside walls of the church were huge gashes resembling claw marks, but bigger than any paw of any bear that was caught in the area.
Journey with us to the past of Old Autumndale. You got your notes this time?
On my phone.
All right, so let's get started. So in the early 1700s, witchcraft was punishable by death, which we know. When a family with 4 daughters had been accused, Ronald Hamilton, the founder of Autumndale, who was quite fond of the girls, told the town that he was taking them to the forest for death. In actuality, he was giving them their own property to save their life. He asked if they would just stay to themselves and then no harm would come to them.
Ronald then returned to the town, describing to the townspeople the horrors of what had happened in the woods. He said that the woods were forever haunted and that no one should ever return back. And that's how it stayed.
So this has been moved and preserved, as well as most of the older buildings, when it was discovered by the Autumndale Historical Preservation Society in the late 80s. Now, whether real magic was involved or not, we can prove that the family existed. Not only by the girls' names carved into the cabin itself, but their parents' grave markers in the backyard, which still stand deep in the forest today.
Now, looking into the legend, the sisters, even when grown and their parents are gone, stayed in this house and continued to live and farm off the land. One day, a young man named John was severely dehydrated and stumbling through the woods. He passed out right in front of their home.
So Lilith was the youngest and most beautiful of the sisters. She found him and set him up in their barn. As time progressed, she nursed him back to health, and he would exchange doing the more strenuous jobs on the farm in turn for a place to stay. They ended up falling in love, and over the fall harvest feast, John would ask her to be his wife, despite knowing the accusations against their family.
2 nights before their wedding, John left without telling them where he was going. He just said that it was a surprise. Sadly, he did not know that he was walking straight to his demise. He had come across the town while hunting one day and wanted to trade some fur pelts for an ounce of silver to make her a ring and fabric for a new dress.
He arrived in town and everything was fine. He spoke with the shopkeep who agreed to the deal and made the trade. When asked as to who was to be his bride, he simply said, "A beautiful angel who lives in the woods." The shopkeep became very upset, and he ran out into the street screaming that he was going to marry the witch of the woods. The whole town turned against him, and without explanation, hung him by the neck in the middle of town. Legend is Lilith's familiar, an old black cat, had followed him there and saw everything that happened, and returned to tell his now widowed bride the details.
Lilith instantly lost her mind, going to the cauldron and starting the potion for what would be the sole reason that our town is cursed. Her sisters gathered to help her plan her vengeance, and when she pulled out a piece of her own heart and threw it into the pot, an explosion from the pot filled the room with light, turning Lilith and her sisters into horrible hags with a huge green glow around them. The cauldron was empty except for a green stone.
After that, the 4 of them flew into the town, casting spells to turn the townspeople to horrible creatures along the way. A green barrier shot up around the entire town, trapping everyone inside. She then threw the stone from 50 feet in the air, and it burrowed beneath them, splitting into 5 parts. The sisters slowly descended to the ground and changed to their human form. What had happened?
Apparently, all the magic that the sisters had combined went into this one curse. Once the stone was planted, their magic was done and depleted, and they were now mortal. The townspeople quickly found out, and they rallied against them. They tied all 4 of them to stakes in the middle of the town. Right before they were burned to death, Lilith promised that the curse would never die, and that she would always be lurking in the shadows until she could return. Can you imagine this is the place where Lilith and her sisters actually live?
What's crazy is to think about how old it is.
I know, right? This foundation. Yep, it's still stable.
Don't kick anything.
It'll be alright.
Yeah, when it all comes crashing down around us.
Hey, maybe we can add to the legend.
Oh, that's good. Just upping the ghost numbers, huh?
Hey, anything to get views. Could you imagine the green glow over the town?
That would have been completely eerie. There's ethereal, a better word for that.
Ethereal? I like that.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it's good. Ethereal.
Can you imagine? Look at these. Artifacts from actually the town. Actually their actual tools that they use.
Actually?
Actually. I don't know if I used it enough. Actually their tools.
Actually.
They even got labels from the Historical Society. Look at it. I didn't know this was a mule-drawn fertilizer. I didn't even know they had asses.
Look at this. Now, but I mean, that's kind of cool to think about. You know, obviously, using animal labor would make it a lot easier.
Obviously, I mean, I can't imagine the 3 sisters toting around this huge lawn equipment.
Pretty sure that they didn't do that in the forest.
Yeah. They did farm them.
Well, yeah, but I guarantee you it was all by hand.
By hand and by shovel.
Mule-drawn sickle, hay mower. Wow.
Well, well, well. Well. The witch's cauldron gonna cause a problem. Nick and Steve gonna fucking solve them. Yeah.
This thing is huge, though.
It is massive, and imagine, at the end of their spell, it was empty except for that green stone.
You could cook like, what, 2 large people? 3 smaller people?
2 large, 2 children, 3 children.
What kind of potion would she make in something this size, though? I mean, we know what the potion is,
A wicked one.
obviously, but like, for something this size, does she have like a smaller one?
I would imagine like a personal pot.
Portable, yeah. you
Personal
know,
portable one.
make soup, make potions.
This witch's brew starts with bird poop.
You think they were probably like body parts and everything?
I'd say 90% sure they probably did.
I mean, a potion like that probably has to involve blood.
I mean, they said they were very angry at the town and very wicked at that point. Their vengeance would be just.
That makes sense. I wonder if anybody's ever looked into that, though.
Old Joe.
Yeah, old Joe knows everything.
He does. He's lived here his whole life.
Yeah, he has. Do you know how many holes he probably has in his brain?
Yeah, but he got all of his stories from his grandpa, Jimmy Joe. That is crazy. These are the actual doors from the original Autumndale jailhouse. Solid?
Pretty solid, even now. I mean,
And look, they got key locks. We don't even do that anymore. It's all electric. You can see the moss growing inside of it.
this is really cool. Oh, they're too heavy to take one.
I never want to get sent to the pokey in old times.
Well, you'd never make it out. That's for sure. On part 2 of today's episode, we look into a tragedy that was swept under the rug as a mass murder by a group of men. According to the leaked records, though, it was the doings of something more dark and beastly.
The McFinleys were an Irish immigrant family that lived on a farm on the outskirts of Old Autumndale. There was a brutal attack on their family in November of that year, leaving 3 of their members scarred and deformed and killing their youngest daughter, Tegan. They say that the attack on their family was done by the same madmen that slaughtered that church, but other reports differ.
Tegan's body was so mangled, they could barely piece it back together. And the scars left on the father's face and chest, as well as the mother's arm, were said to look like claws from like a grizzly bear, something like that. It took the eldest brother's arm completely off. The only one not affected by the attack was the youngest son, Liam. He was sick that night and had stayed home from their family walk. Exactly 1 month later, on the full moon of December 24th, the brutal attack on the church, killing 47 in attendance, occurred.
It was said that previous to the attack that night, the McFinleys tried to attend the Christmas Mass ceremony, but were turned away by an angry mob of churchgoers, yelling that they were going to bring death to their town. Little did they know that was all too true.
Werewolves. The word is usually scoffed at when spoken, but the way that the bodies were thrown and ripped apart, it could not have been done by any normal man or even a group of men. Add that with the paw prints around the church and the claw marks on the wooden walls, and I would say we have plenty of proof that this was done by the legendary creature.
Join us today as we try to find answers from beyond to find the truth of what happened here.
Obviously, it's not.
Need a boost?
I got it.
So this is the actual window where the werewolves first broke in. If you look hard enough, you can see the claw marks
Where?
on the walls,
Where?
on the ground.
Where? Yeah. Permits probably would have been a good idea.
You got permit money?
No? Do you?
No.
Well,
So here we are on the outside.
on the outside, looking in. See anything?
You sure you don't want a boost?
No, I've got it.
I can roll the trash can over and you can just stand on the trash.
Yeah, that would be good until I fall inside it. Wait, I think I see something. No. It was the reflection.
Legend has it that every marriage ceremony that's gone down since in this church has ended in divorce.
Is that verifiable?
I mean, the lead cause of divorce is marriage, so think about it.
I thought you were going to say it's church, but it's just also probably accurate. But did we go check around the back to see if there was anything? Maybe there's another way to get in.
It's also said that one of the original priests used to do blood communions in here.
Verifiable?
With a grain of salt.
Who are you getting this information from?
The internet.
Oh, well. That makes all the sense in the world, then.
And you know Old Man Joe at the corner store? He said that one's verified.
Oh, yeah. Joe would know.
Hey, he lost one of his legs in Nam. I believe everything he says.
Yeah, because his...
Hey, he got a metal plate in there too.
Yeah, I remember that story. My great-grandpappy used to tell me all the time about them werewolves. The damn Irish immigrant folk done turned into wolves, and I tell you, gutted them God-loving church folk like pigs, I tell you. They say after that night they tore down that road a piece in some woods. Never came back. But yes, sirree, I know the difference. You see, them critters keep getting in my trash cans, and I'll tell you about them damn gremlins too. Them damn gremlins thrive on them electrical doohies like that one you got right there. And I tell you, I want nothing to do with it.
Blocked. I just want to get in and see. I want pictures of claw marks. Something.
Don't we all? I could boot the door down.
No.
Yeah, I know the Preservation Society would be pretty pissed.
No permits. There's no bail money. And I don't feel like going to jail there.
Yeah, blueprint's pretty obvious that break-ins happen.
I'm just frustrated because we came here for evidence. We can't even get inside.
Ah, hold on. I got evidence right here.
Where's he going?
Old wood.
Welcome back. Thank y'all for watching, and I apologize that we weren't able to go to any of the interiors because I couldn't afford the permit.
You didn't even try.
I kind of tried. Either way, we'd like to thank y'all. Join us next time. Until then, question everything.
And we'll see you in the dark.